Welcome back. And like we said earlier, we have a lot of interesting, segments planned for you. And right now, we're moving on to the first discussion of the day. Now, a philanthropist is a person who donates time, money, experience, skills, or talent to help create a better world. Anyone can be a philanthropist regardless of status or net worth, and certainly you don't need a degree to be a philanthropist. Now today, we're going to be talking with an 18-year-old philanthropist who has dedicated her time to doing something good. She started while in high school doing clothes drives in the USA from her friends and relatives to give to vulnerable Nigerians. Now, right here in the studio, we have Michelle Shoneye in the studio, to have a discussion with. Good morning, Michelle, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
All right, so, I'm actually surprised. A lot of people are actually, wondering, at 18, when did you start? What, drove you to become a philanthropist?
I say I started in about 2019, so during my junior year of high school, so around like age 16, 15. And I started with my younger sister, Shemi, and we would notice, it started because I think we were driving past and we would see these landmines filled with trash. And in the US, we were struggling with a huge climate crisis. We would hear about states having random fires and burns and snowstorms in April, which is very unusual. And so clothing and trash was everywhere, and that was contributing to climate change. And so we were like, okay, we need to do something instead of these clothes going to these trash mines. And we were me and my sister, around that time, we noticed ourselves, we were taking accountability. We would waste a lot, not a lot, a good amount of clothes. And we were like, why are we wasting these clothes when we can give them to people in need?
How it started. How far ago did it start?
We opened None Should Be Naked, which is the name of our organization, in 2019. And so it's been about 4 years or so now.
Oh, that means you started when you were 16?
Yeah.
16?
Yeah,
or 14?
She said 16.
16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, this must take some form of toll on you. How do you, because 4 years in, I'm sure your organization has, grown, and you have a lot of people to cater for now. Do you go to school?
I do.
How do you balance it, your work and school?
I think work in school, I'm very I love to plan my stuff ahead of time, so I feel it hasn't taken too much of a toll on me at all. And while I'm at university, I go to American University in DC. My younger sister, Shemi, she's 15. She's back at home, so I can always rely on Shemi to help me fold the clothes, sort the clothes, and collect clothes. Because she'll collect clothes from people back at home, while I collect clothes from university students and take those clothes back when I go back to visit. So it's not too much of a toll, and it helps when I have my wonderful sister to always help me out.
So now, aside the clothes drive, is there any other thing you do?
Aside the clothes drive?
Yes, your organization I'm talking about. What else do you do?
Our organization, we had to take a small little halt in 2020 due to the COVID pandemic and restrictions. And so this year, our first ever clothing drive was held last week, Saturday. But future plans for the organization, I was discussing with my younger sister, and we would love to expand and visit women's shelters. And we were thinking of sanitary products, period products, because we think that's a huge issue that needs to be addressed, women's rights in terms of women's rights and women's development advancement. We think that hosting drives where we specifically focus on women empowerment through period products, sanitary products, is what we want to focus on next and expand.
Okay, yeah, so so far so good. Have you received enough, let's say, funding for your plan? Because obviously you might have to work with one or two other organizations. Are you, contacting anyone trying to put the work together?
As of right now, Me and my sister, we do plan on expanding and reaching out, but we are not currently receiving any funding. This is something that me and my sister are doing by ourselves with the help of our parents, of course, and people from our community members and like wonderful donors. But in the future, we are excited to partner with future NGOs around local and international.
Okay, so now the clothes drive that you actually do, is it just in Nigeria, or do you replicate it in the US as well?
For as of right now, it's just in Nigeria, but in the future we do plan on expanding to other countries in Africa and other states in the US as well.
Okay, so tell us, share with us, so tell us your experience. You said you actually had, an event a few weeks ago, a few days ago in Nigeria. That's a clothes drive. What was the reception like, and how did it feel for you?
It felt really nice. We had over 150 people show up, and that it was very exciting to me because I did not think a lot of people were going to show up at all. I think when you plan the drives and when you plan, and you're sorting out the clothes and you're writing notes to go to people, I think you don't really expect a lot of people to show up, and sometimes I can get nervous and I'm like, what if no one shows up? What if it fails?
Definitely.
But when you see people show up, it's very exciting, especially like I was there to deliver the clothes one-on-one, and I love to talk to people. So I was talking with the young children there, and they're seeing their smiles and how their faces lit up was so exciting and nice.
Okay, so what about your family? What have they been doing so far to support you?
My family, they're amazing. I love them if they're watching this so much. My mom and my dad are just two of the best people ever. They support me and my sister with everything that we do. And so I remember when I told them about this, and when I told my parents, I think I want to do this in 2019, they were so supportive, and like they help, because it's literally me, my mom, my sister, and they just help us sort the clothes. They help us sort the clothes, fold the clothes, write notes, put them in bags. And my dad is amazing. He's in charge of like cargoing the clothes to Nigeria from the US, so he handles that for us. And they're very supportive in any way, whether that be through like words of encouragement. Whenever me and my sister kind of get discouraged, they're always there to encourage us. They're always there to package the clothes, to handle the administrative parts too.
What is it about your job that you love so much? Because like for 18, someone would think that other things you should be bothered about.
Yeah.
There's this
growing up
passion
and all
for
that.
it from you. So what is it that keeps your fire burning?
I think like last week, seeing the faces of children and people, because they're so grateful and they're so happy. And I think one of the quotes that from one child was like, "This is the best gift I've ever received," and to me that was like so shocking and so like good to hear that I was able to give someone like one of the best gifts that they've ever received.
Okay, so do you have anyone you look up to, and do you plan on collaborating with anyone in particular? Talking about anyone famous in particular.
Anyone? I do have a lot of inspirations out there. I love whether that be like politicians. Like I look up to AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she's a House of Rep member in the U.S. and she's always advocating for human rights. Ilhan Omar, another House of Rep member, and I love to read literature a lot. So one of my favorite authors is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And I know she does a lot of philanthropy work in Nigeria, so I would love to like maybe have her come one day, maybe like when we're giving out clothes, have her speak. It would be so amazing. Her book, Americana, like I reread that book every other month. It's one of my favorite books. I actually wrote one of my college essays I wrote was based on the book, her book Americana, because it's one of my favorite books ever.
Okay, so now let's talk about, your plans for the future. Do you intend to do, this clothes drive for the long term or for the long haul, or, would you plan to, go into something else? Like I've heard you actually talk about, yes, and I heard you talk about, your role models, being would you want to go into politics or something?
I'm currently on a pre-law track, so I hope to become a lawyer in the future. And I think that I do plan on continuing the clothing drive, and I feel like as a lawyer, I could help, like that would greatly help me advance this program because from a legal aspect. And I think for future, in the future plans, I have like me and my sister have big dreams. Like I said before that we hope to like start giving out period products and sanitary products, but also maybe open it up to like providing free like mental health services, whether that be therapy or like free books, like free after school tutoring services throughout this program, like to go beyond giving out clothes, like beyond clothes and period products. Maybe we could do books, and maybe in the future even like mental health resources, maybe like therapy, and like open up shelters. So big plans.
Okay, now the picture is actually displaying on the screen. This was from your last event. Wow. All right, so what feedback did you actually get after, the event?
Feedback, we got really positive feedback. A lot of oh, I hope you guys come again. I hope you continue doing this. Like, and we're definitely gonna come again. And then we do want to like I said before, we thought of like adding like more like sanitary products, like more things to go along with clothes.
So when you're not in school or doing philanthropy work, what are you doing?
When I'm not in school doing philanthropy work, I spend a lot of time with my sister because we're really close, so we do hang out a lot, and I feel like I can talk to her about everything. And then I also like to paint and to read on my free time, and I like to write too.
Okay, now you've been talking about Nigeria alone. Do you plan on expanding to other, African countries?
Yes, I do in the future, definitely.
Okay. All right, so you talked about your sister. Is it just one sister that you have, or she's the only one who's as passionate as you?
I just have one sister. Her name is Shemilare, and she's 15, and she's like my best friend. She's always there.
All right, so now let's talk.
I like when I see two sisters that are close, because I always wish I had
a sister.
I have boys around me.
Okay, all right, so we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this discussion.
Welcome back to the show, and we are still with Michelle Shone here, yes, discussing philanthropy, cloth drives, and more. So yes, I was going to ask, now that you know what you're doing, have you maybe decided to go on a media tour, visit other media houses, just to put your work out there and yourself? Because I think a lot of people will find what you're doing interesting. So is this something you've considered doing, or you've already started doing?
I think this is definitely something I'll consider doing and have started doing. This is my first ever TV interview and first ever interview in general, but I do hope to visit other TV stations across Nigeria too.
Okay.
Okay, now while you're actually telling us about, the origin of your work, you talked about, you and your sister seeing, clothes in trash and all that. So how do you get donors? How do you get people to donate clothing for you?
How do we?
For your
So we
organization?
started off giving out our own clothes, but we noticed that like we can like reach out to other people. So we start with like our family members, of course, and then members of our church that we go to. So we
Okay.
go to two churches, our Redeemed Church, City of David in Laurel, and then we also go to St. Mary of the Mills, which is a Catholic church,
Okay.
because my siblings go to a Catholic school. I went to
Okay.
Catholic school too. So I think because we're very close in both of these communities, like it's easy for us to like reach out to people and ask people, oh, like we're doing this and this. And it surprised us because a lot of people are giving, and like they always say ask and you shall receive, but like closed mouths don't get fed. So we did have to like practice like reaching out to people, but I feel like once you reach out and ask, everyone's more than willing to help.
Okay, so is money needed for your work? And also, have you started receiving monetary donations?
As of right now, no. We're like slowly doing our work with our like own money. Like we have not received any outside funding, and of course, heavily relying on support from our parents.
Okay.
But in the future, as our organization progresses, we do hope to like setting up spots where people can donate monetary funds as. But that's definitely for the future. I think we would want our organization to grow a bit more.
Definitely.
Since you started doing what you're doing, have you ever faced any challenge? Maybe stress or not having enough clothes or not having people show up at your clothes drive?
I think one thing was definitely like how do we increase engagement, like get this like organization more well known, and that's something that we're currently trying to do now. But I think like this first interview will definitely attract more engagement, and like we've been heavy on social media, and that has helped a lot too.
Okay, so now in future, what would you want, people to actually say about you? Like when they look back and think of Michelle Shoneye, what would you want people to actually think of? What impression?
I think like our mom would always say like you want to live a life where you have made an impact, no matter like maybe you've lived like 10 years, 50 years, but you want to make an impact with that as many years as you are on here. And I think I would want people to say that Michelle, she was a giver and she like helped me positively impacted my life. So I would want to make a positive impact on the lives of people that I've met.
There's so many IDPs in Nigeria, and you would agree with me that most of them actually in need of clothing. Have you had plans to go there to, see what the situation is like and also donate to them?
We have actually. I think that's another thing that we try to do is with None Should Be Naked, we always try to donate to a different facility or IDP each time. So it's not just like donating to the same facility, but we try to spread it around different locations. Like last time we focused in Lagos, this time we're in Abuja, and I hope to focus on another city too.
Is there any reason why you decided to focus on clothes in particular? Because when people want to start donation, they start with food. Yes, food is the easiest thing to give up. Or is there any emphasis? Is there any reason why for you your because even the name of your organizations, None Should Be Naked. It's a statement. So is there any reason why your focus is on clothes?
Our focus on clothes. There is, because I know earlier on, me and my sister noticed the harmful nature that wasted clothes had on the environment, and that's something that like regularly, I think not a lot of people focus on the harmful effects that like wasting clothes or like putting clothes in trash can have on the environment, and can help damage the environment. It's not like focused or talked about a lot. And so me and my sister, we were kind of shocked when we watched documentaries and when we would see all these clothes in these trash mines. And so we decided that like instead of putting this in trash, we should help. And then also clothing is just like a human necessity. It's kind of like a basic human right. And so when you think of clothing, like, oh, well, we're privileged, so when we think of clothing, we're like, yeah, we could just go to the mall, we can go get a new top, but that's not very accessible to many people. And so we decided to like make a huge difference by supplying clothing, making it easily accessible to all people.
Okay, now earlier you talked about, visiting another state, right? Do you already have the donations on ground, or would you get them when you visit the state?
What we do is we collect clothes year round. So we
Okay.
have a clothing supplied. Like currently, we store our clothes like in containers in our house's basement. Like we have a specific area for sorting the clothes. So we collect the clothes.
So you transport them all the way from the U.S.?
We do. But clothes are collected like throughout the year from January to December. And so we kind of just like do research and we figure out which facilities. But when it comes to clothes, like clothes are constantly being transported from the U.S. to Nigeria. So they're always ready to be dispersed.
Okay. All right, well...
How do you, because clothes, how do you sort out the clothes? Because if you're receiving different different sizes for children, for adults, how do you know who to give what to?
Well, what we do is we usually start by we collect all the clothes and we start by organizing. We'll have a small boy section, a small girl section, adult males, adult females, and boy shoes, girl shoes, adult shoes, small children shoes. And so we start by we sort those out and then we put them in plastic bags. And so we'll put them in cargo containers.
Okay.
And then transport them to Nigeria.
Well, do you actually have any final words before we wrap up this discussion?
First, I want to thank you so much for having me. This is my first ever interview. And it's such an honor to be invited and to talk about my organization. And for viewers that are watching, I hope that you please do more research and check out None Should Be Naked. And I hope you would be inspired to get involved and to also donate. And to young people to also know that their voices should be heard and that they can make change too in any way.
All right, so just before we go, there's actually a question I was going to ask, and she just reminded me. Now, we know social media actually, can actually impact a lot
so much
when it comes to, organizations like yours. Have you tried, making use of social media for to get donations?
Yeah.
We do. We currently have an Instagram account, and it's called None Should Be Naked. And so we post quite frequently, and we have a link to our website. Our website is also noneshouldbenaked.org, and so we utilize that too.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us on Daybreak Extra this beautiful morning. It was, an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that was Michelle Shonea. She's an 18-year-old philanthropist and also an entrepreneur. And the name of our organization, she does clothes drives in Nigeria, and the name of our organization is None Should Be Naked. We'll take a quick breather, and when we return, we'll move on, and the show continues.